Boom, baby, boom, boom. You like my little rockabilly Christmas music? So, yes, we are in the midst of some very troubling times. People do seem to be nervous about what's going to happen. But hey, guys, it's still the 12 days of Christmas for us Catholics. So we should never let that stomp out our joy for the season that is. Because, there's always going to be bad things that are happening. We are going to keep our eyes on those things, but at the same time, we don't want to have all joy sucked away from us. Welcome to the Rickcast, officially on the Rickcast X account, which is why the numbers are not as high as they were yesterday. Of course, yesterday, any day, yeah, you right? Woo! Thank you, Lou. Anytime there's big events, the channel always gets a lot more views than it usually does, which is fine. And I'm very happy with that. And so now we're choosing tonight to go with this. This account should not be as restricted, to be completely honest, as something like my other one. I mean, I'm blocked by Bree Dale, Jack Posibic, Fat James Lindsay, so many people on that account that there's no reach on that thing. So it's really hard for me to get any kind of reach on there. So we're going to try it on this account where it supposedly shouldn't have as much restrictions on it as we try to get it out to as many people as possible. I'm just trying to set up right now the Insta feed. So give me 2 seconds while I get that set up, because Instagram makes it super duper stupid to try and make this work. So, but we're good. We're live, and I'm happy that you guys are here. Brian, I'm very happy to see that you were able to replace a toilet today, and you didn't even need an H1B, so that's great. Yeah, right. Cheesedale. People are so they're weak, man. They're weak on the X and on Twitter. You say one thing they don't like, and they block you. I used to block people. I'm not gonna lie. I don't want to say I've never. I did at a point, but now I'll just mute the crap out of people, which apparently is the same thing. Muting people does the same thing. But I didn't think it would, but apparently it does. So there is that. Either way, we got a bunch of stuff to talk about. We are going to do updates on what happened in New Orleans and in Las Vegas. We got a couple other things that make people very nervous, as far as there's an incident going on in South Carolina where apparently there's a trucker with a bomb in the 18-wheeler. There's a shooting at the in the Austin Mall. There's a guy who flew a plane into a building. Everybody seems to be on edge, and this is where something like X makes it a little bit more difficult, because the amount of information that is there makes it seem like the world is falling apart. And when you take it back, first of all, there is a diagram. There's I can't even think of the word right now. Demographic shifts that have made it to the point where it seems like the world is falling apart, because you don't have a homogeneous society that we used to have. But secondly, the way information travels, you're going to have more things that are happening. So we are going to get to all of that. Like, subscribe, share. If you're finding this on the Rickcast X account for the first time, please follow the Rickcast X account. So that way we can boost those numbers on that one, and it should be able to get a broader reach so we can have a better audience. I mean, 50 people, there was only 9 followers on the Rickcast account. So the fact that we got 48 people watching it, super big thumbs up. I would almost say like a Trump thumbs up. You get a Trump thumbs up on that one. All right, enough of me blabbing around like a dummy. Let's get to the first story of the day. I got 3 hot takes, or 3 things that are brewing that I feel should be on our radar. First one is from Nick Sotar on the X machine. Multiple people reportedly have passed on after a plane crashes into a warehouse in Fullerton, California. This is a 4-alarm fire. Evacuations are underway in the area. This does not seem like it's any kind of terrorist incident or anything like that, but it is yet something else to make people feel we're 2 days into 2025 and people are already on edge. They're on edge more than they should be, because of obviously the terrible things that took place in New Orleans and in Las Vegas. But now it's going to have this flood of negative information that seems to come out, because what rain and pours, and now we're getting that. So that's your first Hot take that we have here. The second one, I don't think there's anything more to. It's a tragic accident that took place in California. This one in in Idaho, a little bit more worrisome, I would say, and that is Payette. Sorry, people in Idaho. Payette police arrest suspect after IED found near a train car. Payette police officers were dispatched to the 600 block of North A Street on Wednesday around 5:54 p.m. regarding a suspicious individual trying to light something on fire near a parked railroad car. Officers found fresh footprints in the snow and tracked them to a train car. They located a suspected undetonated improvised explosive devices. Officers followed the footprints to a camp trailer park near the residence. The suspect is identified as 40-year-old Brent Sherry, fled from the camp trailer on foot, but surrendered after a short pursuit. Sherry was taken into custody on an outstanding Payette County warrant and later booked into the Payette County Jail with additional charges for possession of a destructive device, which is a felony, and possession of controlled substance, which is a felony, possession of paraphernalia, which is a misdemeanor, because apparently this is in America, you can't even have that anymore, resisting and obstructing officers. The Napa Bomb Squad helped render the devices safe. Union Pacific was also notified, and all trains scheduled to travel through the incident site were put on standby for about 5 hours. So I don't believe this has any kind of ties or anything, connections or whatever you want to say in that regard. But it is yet another thing in a stream of news that seems to be ripping at the fabric of our fair society. And it really reinforces the point that I tried to get yesterday, is that you are the men, I'm speaking to you out there, you are the providers and the protectors of your family. And you need to be on the lookout now more than ever. Until January 20th, minimum, we are in a very strange shift change. We have a shift change between two executive branches. And it seems to be that shift change is leaving a lot of things on the table. Think about it. Especially with the supposed incoming wrecking ball that is the Trump administration, with guys like Kash Patel and RFK Jr. and all these others, people who are already there, right? People who are already there have checked out. They're done. Because, you see these mass resignations. You see the fact that people are complaining about people being appointed. And so a lot of things are being left on the table. And it seems like the typical statement of when the cat's away, the mice will play. And I'm a poet and I don't like it. But either way. So that is your second story of the day there. Our third hot take, or our third thing that I want to put on your radar, is coming out of my beautiful Republic of Texas, right down the street, about 45 minutes away from me. From the Austin Police, source Channel 2 News, shots fired at the Lakeline Mall in Austin, Texas. Authorities are responding to reports of gunfire inside Lakeline Mall, causing panic and immediate evacuations of shoppers and staff. I mean, that's a pretty big deal considering it is 2 days after Christmas, and a lot of places are doing what? They're putting their things on sale right now. There are massive sales that are taking place. I know my wife used to work for Dillard's, and the day after Christmas or day after New Year's used to be the big New Year's sale, where they were just putting everything on sale and trying to get rid of as much stuff as possible. So you have a flood of people that are usually not in the malls. Eyewitnesses, gunshots are being fired in the mall. Be careful. Police are coming. It's insane. Police are securing the area and urging the public to stay away from as the investigation continues. Details on injuries or suspects remain unclear. Now, we could also say that this could also be gang activity. Before we jump into, oh my gosh, this is terrorism. This is unbelievable. This is just unthinkable. How could this happen? It's also very likely that this could just be gang violence. Austin is riddled with gang activity. Austin is essentially a mini state, a city of California, and the idea that the areas of Austin are safe are not, especially since you have Austin under the purview of Democratic district attorneys. They do not support, even though Texas is a LTC state and a stand your ground state and all these other things. You have Ken Paxton and Greg Abbott, supposed Republicans that defend your God-given right to keep and bear arms and your ability to use them in defense. The thing about Texas that people don't realize when you try to tell them, hey, I don't bring my gun when I don't carry my gun into Austin. I don't carry my gun into Houston. They go, well, you live in Texas. What do you mean you don't? Yeah, if you get caught in those cities using a firearm for defense, like Daniel Penny, not Perry, whichever one is not New York, the one in Austin a couple years ago, you're going to go straight to jail. They're going to prosecute you to every extent of the law possible. So you also have a reduction in the Austin police. It is by far in the state of Texas the least staffed police department in the entire state, to the point where I think 2021 and 2022, Greg Abbott had the state police assisting the Austin Police Department just to be able to get things done. Yep, Austin has more. They were all on board with defunding police and all this other kind of stuff. And now they are reaping the benefits, right? The benefits of that. So those are 3 stories I wanted to get on your plate as we start today's program. We're going to start talking about Las Vegas, and we're going to start talking about New Orleans with this. This was earlier today. Joe Biden addressed the nation after a nice adrenaline shot from Pulp Fiction, waddled up to the podium and gave us this nugget of wisdom.
We're also continuing to investigate whether or not there's any connection between the New Orleans attack and the explosion in Las Vegas. As of now, they've just been briefed. They have not found any evidence of such a connection thus far.
So I don't know if you could hear that, but his big thing was they are not connected. And you'll say, well, Rick, you said they were connected. I speculated on it last night. And as we go over the information about the Las Vegas incident, you'll see that it doesn't seem like they were connected. There's some weird stuff about these two that people are kind of losing their minds over. And we'll get to it in a second. But let me get the whiteboard up. Let's see here, because I have it again. I have all my notes that I want you guys to be able to see when we're talking about today's show. So first off, the FBI stated earlier today that Jabbar, the coward who committed this act on New Year's Day, planned to harm his family and friends, but wanted headlines focused on a war, quote unquote, between the believers and non-believers. He obviously converted to Islam, was radicalized. By the way, the mosque that he went to, I don't have that up, but the mosque that he attended said, don't talk to the feds, don't talk to the police, refer to CARE, the Council on Islamic Relations. That's who any inquiries will go through, which, little shady, but not shocking considering it's the Muslims. Christopher Ria of the Counterterrorism Division revealed during a press conference Thursday morning, he provided a timeline of events that led to the attack, which resulted in 14 innocent victims losing their lives and roughly 35 more injured. He noted that Jabbar joined ISIS before the summer and posted videos to his Facebook account revealing his plans to originally attack friends and family. Of course, once again, you have a person on a social media account saying of a certain religious persuasion, stating that he is going to injure people, and the FBI and the DOJ and Homeland Security and everybody else is like, it'll be fine, to quote the critical drinker. Yet when grandma says, I like Donald Trump, they got the Blackhawks flying over and the swimming ducks and everything else coming out of the water to get her. Like, she doesn't even have a pool and they're coming out of the water and pointing M4s at this lady's face because she did dare to vote for Donald Trump. But Jabama Islam, whatever his name is, says, I want to kill everybody. And they're like, hey, man, cool, American way, go get them. And now I guess how the FBI and all your law enforcement agencies will say, oh, well, he stopped it. He corrected his message. And he just wanted a war between the believers and non-believers. Oh, well, in that case, you go right ahead, buddy. You go, Glenn Goko. Right now, it looks like 16 victims of the New Orleans attack are still in the hospital, including 8 people in the ICU, while they continue to run cover for this murdering lunatic. New Orleans terror suspect Shamar Din Jabbar planted 2 IEDs ahead of the attack and is now believed to have acted alone. That is the big thing they're saying. No. He acted alone. There's nobody else. It's just him. But what did his apartment say? What did his house say? Well, luckily, we actually have the video. Looks like Jennifer S. Tare from the New York Post was able to actually just go to the suspect's house.
The New Orleans terrorist home. You can see that it's been clearly destroyed, the door at least, from the FBI raid yesterday. But if we walk through the home, we see some signs of what he was up to. He had this work area here, lots of different chemicals splayed around, and different electronics. This is, again, a work setup. Left receipts, just very unkempt in here. If we go over here, actually, you can see the Department of Justice documents here, the search warrant, and the property that they recorded here, which seems to be a lot of chemicals. Again, just left in disarray. There's a bedroom back here, and what appears to be his collection of religious materials, his Qurans, an open Quran with a passage there, as well as even the Bible here, but mostly books on Islam, and his prayer rug just to the left of me here. And if we go back, there's another bedroom here. You can see he left all these belongings, contact lenses, personal belongings, his bathroom. This seems to be some sort of workspace, again, with other chemicals here. The light's still on, some kind of station set up here. We're not really sure what that was for. In, what we can assume was also a bedroom. You can see clothes left here, and just a sign that someone was here up until those last few moments when neighbors said he left just before the New Year's holiday, saying he was done with his lease, it was up, and he was on his way to New Orleans where he would live there. Didn't take any furniture because he said his new home would be furnished. That's all we know so far.
I'd like to thank Jennifer for wearing her finest leggings in this time to make sure that it is completely inappropriate. But I don't want to get anybody upset with my purity tests here. I would just wish she would at least wear a real pair of pants. Anyway, all kidding aside, but not really. Back to the big board. So he said he was leaving because he had a new job in New Orleans with a fully furnished apartment. And he didn't need anything. So he's just leaving. So you just head out. So Kyle Becker on the platform X is reporting that the lone wolf, New Orleans attacker had 3 phones. Nobody's talking about the fact that he had 3 phones. He just had them. I mean, I guess there's the regular phone, the bat phone, and the Robin phone. Just want to make sure you have all 3. And then finally, people keep asking, what about the barriers? Why weren't the barriers up? I mean, this is a place where people are always going. This is a huge place for tourism, and it's on a street, and you got to at least be able to do something like have the barriers up. Well, don't worry. Your 65-year-old grandma who happens to be running the New Orleans Police Department has an answer for you.
Call hardening the target. So we have brought in heavy trucks. You will see when you go down Bourbon.
She's going through this quickly because this was earlier in the day, and she wanted to get to the early bird special at Roy Rogers, which shout out to Roy Rogers.
You will see yellow, what we call archers, and they're along the sidewalk.
So this is because the actual barriers that existed that the city of New Orleans paid for and installed, they're broken. and they're not going to get fixed till after the Super Bowl. So they brought in these 5 cones to make you feel better.
And that would be to be preventive if someone had, or if this particular terrorist went around up on the sidewalk, that's what that would do. Okay? It would slow that down for anyone who thought that they could breach our targets. And so those are some of the main differences we are done in the quarter. Also, you are going to see an incredibly large presence of police. And we are, though, confident, but we want our community to feel confident and know they are confident.
It's all about confidence. Doesn't matter if you're safe. Just feel confident that you might be
safe. And that's what we're going to do. So right now, I can declare to you that the Bourbon Street is open.
Chief, where did those archers come from?
Sorry?
Those yellow archers, where did they come from?
Actually, we have them. I didn't know about them, but we have them.
That's great. So you had a major event, New Year's Eve, a lot of people there. Probably a good idea to secure the area, but she was out at like 3:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Don't worry about it. It's fine. I didn't even know we had them, but they exist. I'm sure those were $500,000 a pop too.
And so we have been able now to put them out.
Okay.
What you
don't feel better, folks. Feel better. She is on the case. It's like that new Matlock special they have out there. She's there, folks. You're good. Although, let's see, if we go back to the big board, about 3 hours ago from now, there was a large explosion in the French Quarter, cause unknown. And if you think I'm lying, that is video. There were a couple other videos, but there was a large explosion in the French Quarter. Nobody's talking about it, but apparently it took place. We haven't gotten an update on that, but the fact is they are playing the Sugar Bowl right now. Notre Dame is playing Georgia. Just in case you are a Notre Dame fan, they are winning 23-10. Go Irish. And so with 3 minutes left in the fourth, but that'd be great if I know some of you guys don't like the Irish because Notre Dame as an institution is terrible, but Marcus Freeman is a good Catholic, converted to the faith, takes the guys to church. So you got at least root for that guy. I know the institution's not great right now, but it is what it is. All right, moving on. Let's go back to the big board, ladies and gentlemen, here on Rickcast. I am the aforementioned Rick. You are watching on the Rickcast X channel, platform, handle, account. That's the word. The Rickcast account. If you're watching on X and you are not subscribed or you're not following it, please do me a favor, hit that follow button on X so we can grow the audience there, so we can make sure that you are aware when we go live on the X platform. Also Rumble, YouTube, and on the Instagram, hanging out on all of these places tonight. Glad you guys are hanging out with me on the 2nd of January, 2025. And we just hit 101 watching right now, which is great because most of those people are coming from X. Welcome. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. We just talked about the New Orleans updates. They're pretty much scrubbing all this. The idea is that where there were multiple people working, it was just him, came from Houston, the Houston mosque that he attended. They said, don't ask us questions, go to the Council of Islamic Relations, which is a little weird, but that's because we know that most of those mosques have a heavy pipeline. And if you are shocked that there is a heavy Islamic presence in Houston, you've never been to Houston. Houston has a huge Islamic population. My brother-in-law was down there when he was stationed in the military, and right near the Catholic church we would go to on Sunday, about 2 streets down, was a huge mosque, huge. And so not a shock that Houston has a massive Islamic population that he would drive to, radicalize him. Apparently he lost his job, and that's why he was going to New Orleans for a new job. And he's a complete and total loser. As we can all see, he is now dead. But that is what's going on in NOLA. They're trying to move on with all of the stuff that were taking place there. They had a walk, and then they're doing a bunch of the symbolic stuff. Jeff Landry apparently stepped in it last night. I don't have the tweet, but he went out to dinner and posted it. He was like, oh, I went out to dinner in New Orleans, and everybody's going, read the room, Landry, you're pretty good on a lot of stuff. But going out to dinner is not a good look when your city is under attack. But hey, I guess we're all finding out how quickly the governance of Louisiana is not very good. Yeah, I think I'll just leave it at that and try to be as kind as possible. Let us move on, ladies and gentlemen, to the next topic of today's show here on Rickcast. Like, subscribe, share, hit that notification bell. Thank you all for hanging out with me. Greatly appreciate it. Especially you guys who are following on the Rickcast X account. We are talking about Las Vegas, and boy, woo-wee, this one. You know, the NOLA attack has all the hallmarks of a classic Muslim attack. So there's not a lot of questions to be asked, except how could you know that this guy was on Facebook and on social media saying he wanted to have a war between believers and non-believers and all this other stuff? And they were like, yeah, cool, man. Cheers. But the Vegas one, Steph, you're right. The more information that's coming out about the Vegas attack incident, can we even classify as an attack now? Because it's very strange. And to start that, let's go with the press conference from the Las Vegas PD.
Wasn't able to be removed for a very long period of time because he was burnt beyond recognition. And so as we continue to move through this, I'm going to talk a little bit about his identity and what we believe. But I would like to highlight a couple of things that the teams found inside of the Cybertruck that are useful to the investigation. And that, first and foremost, is a military identification. We also found a passport.
Hold on. Time out. So there was a massive explosion inside the Cybertruck. The guy is burned beyond belief, but the military ID survived? A little weird.
We found a Desert Eagle 50 caliber semi.
Why does this guy have a Desert Eagle 50 cal? This is a Desert Eagle 50 cal is a gun that you buy and you keep in your safe. And when your buddies come by, you show it off. There is no practical uses for a 50 cal pistol. It is a gun that somebody who is setting something up, wink, would think makes a good gun at this. Oh yeah, this will impress people. He has a 50 cal pistol. You ask anybody in the gun community, they go, nobody serious is using a 50 cal pistol unless they're trying to shoot down Japanese Zeros. Outside of that, they have no practical purposes. But this is the gun that survived, although the man didn't survive. It gets better, folks. But wait, there's more.
Automatic pistol. And if you'll notice on a lot of these guns,
this is a short barreled. I think it's I think it's an actual SBR. Yeah, it's an SBR 30 AR pattern rifle is what they're calling it.
That we're going to talk about here, they're almost just burnt beyond recognition as well.
No, we all can see that that's an AR style rifle.
There's a SLR model B30 semi-automatic firearm. Number of fireworks that were still in the vehicle that had to be removed. Notably, we found an iPhone and a smartwatch, and then several credit cards were also in the name of our subject.
The subject's name is Matthew Livensberger. And Matthew Livensberger, yeah, he is the man who they are telling, and I'm going to say this, they are telling you that he was the one who drove to the Trump building, and he is the one that is the one who supposedly blew this up. They didn't say it here, but he apparently drove up to the Trump building, parked the car, and then ended himself, deleted himself. And it's very interesting. Mr. Guns and Gear pointed this out. He watched the video, that famous video that's out there a couple times of the explosion, which everybody can get access to. There's no flash in the car. Also, I know the windows are pretty tough, but a 50 cal pistol going off in an enclosed area is going to have some kind of concussive blast. And that's going to at least crack the windows, going to have some kind of impact on the windows, which is another weird thing. So he goes to the Trump building, he parks, and then he deletes himself. Strange, a little bit strange, yeah. Using a Desert Eagle, because I don't think you can't use the AR to do it. The paper passport and the military ID survived the incident. He didn't, because he's burned beyond recognition, but they did, which is just a little strange, because they found the gunshot wound to the head. And so people are asking, what is going on with this entire investigation? Because there's a lot of questions. There are more questions that are being asked at this point. Let me find this and bring this up real quick. With this, and thank you to Proud Army Brat, which I'll bring up right now, for finding out these additional screenshots on X. Go follow them for that information. Check out some of these photos. So there's your Cybertruck on the way to the Trump Tower. This is the result of the Cybertruck after the explosion. Completely and utterly. I mean, they took off the doors and everything, but a paper ID and a passport survived this, but he didn't. Okay, very interesting on that. And then finally, there's the photo of the Desert Eagle that apparently survived, which was kind of stupid, but that is what it is. Now, let's go back to the big board. I have some more information because Lou brought this up right there. Oh no, yeah, right here. His parents were quoting that said he loved Trump. Yes, Mark, I'm getting to that right now. Mark's bringing up a really good point. But let's get to this first, because you guys are way ahead of me and I love it. Thank you for hanging out with me and being a part of the show. Let me know what you're thinking. Jump in with the comments on X, on Instagram, on Twitter, wherever. Let me know what you're thinking about that. So he drives up. Drives up is a loaded term at this point, because is it automated? Did he do it? Was he already deceased when he pulled up to the Trump Tower? Nobody knows. And interestingly enough, you know who could easily answer all this? One Elon Musk. Elon Musk could answer this question because they record everything in those cars. They got video and everything in those cars. So, reported gunshot wound before the explosion. The body is burned or reported unidentifiable. Bomb setup was uncharacteristic of his training, which we'll get to in a moment. That's Dr. Strangelove on Twitter. And then Mr. Guns and Gear notices this. He notices this little cherry on top. So, the day after the explosion, his safety number and the photo were changed on his Signal account. If you have a Signal account, you know what that is. You'll see people randomly be like, your safety number has changed. And it's like, okay. So let me bring this up right now. This has been floating around and I don't have it today, but apparently the New Orleans attacker and our man from Vegas both went to Fort Bragg. Now, of course, people are like, they went together, they trained together. Let's just be real. The population of Fort Bragg is about 6,900 people are there. So it's not like a college dorm. People are acting like, it's like when I tell people I'm from Rhode Island, they go, oh, do you know so-and-so? No, I don't know Johnny from Coventry. Just because I lived in Rhode Island. But people are bringing up the fact that, oh man, they both went to Bragg. This is an operation. This is the military. It's compromised. Now, granted, I will agree that the military has gotten sucked into a web of garbage and nonsense. because of the requirements of DEI and white fragility and all these other things we've seen, Lloyd Austin and all these people. And lately it's been proven that just because somebody is in the military does not mean that they are super conservative. So let's get to this next one right here. So this is to Lose Point from the Independent. Hopefully y'all can see that as I go along on the big board. The family of the accused Trump hotel truck incident, Matthew Liebensberger said he was a big Trump supporter. The uncle told the Independent that he was confused by the explosion because his nephew could rig a bomb to blow up half the hotel if he really wanted to do any kind of damage. He used to have all patriotic stuff on Facebook. He was 100% in love with the country. His ex-wife posted some TDS stuff in 2016. Nothing since then. So any reports on that, not as, I don't want to say credible, but I don't believe it's not as important as some would say. He loved Trump. He was always very, very patriotic, a patriotic American. It's one of the reasons he was in special forces for so many years. It wasn't just one tour of duty. Mark, who was in contact? If you want to just let me know what you're talking about. I'm not doubting you. I just need a little more information on that. Matt was a very skilled warrior. He would be able to make, if it was him and he did this, wouldn't have been able to make more sophisticated explosives that use propane tank and camping fuel. Some of it doesn't make sense when he had the skills and the ability to make something more, let's say, efficient. His skills were enormous from what he had been taught in the military. I did not know that. I did not know that the two were actually in contact via phone. Thank you for that. If you have a link or something like that, I'd love to take a look at it just for my own benefit. But see, I didn't know that. I just thought that they happened to go to brag at different points and in my research. But there's so much stuff being kind of like birdshot all over the place that it's kind of tough to keep everything in line. And finally, he could have fashioned a bomb that would have obliterated half the hotel if he seriously wanted to. So this gives the rise to something. I'll throw it out there. There's nothing behind this. This is just something because, when you try to put things together in your head. Guy supposedly from Colorado Springs had a baby, supposedly. Brand new baby. Could it be because if you watch the video before the blast, when the Cybertruck's in the way, the driveway, there's no flash that would indicate a gunshot happening then. Secondly, people in our chat room, and you can join us, please join us. Let me know what you're thinking on X or on Instagram or whatever the case may be. What would it make sense, or could it be that this guy was killed beforehand, burned beforehand, because his body was burned beyond recognition, put in the truck, programmed to go to Trump Tower, and it stopped, bomb was remote detonated. Because and then now you have the perfect patsy to start another not race war, but more division, and it gives the FBI credence to say, look, right-wing terror. You have right-wing terrorists. He was a Trump supporter. He loved Donald Trump, and yet he tried to blow up Trump in a Tesla. I'm not a very smart man, and I came up with that pretty quick. Of course, you guys assisted me via the help with the chat room, but it's not completely out of reach to assume that could be a possibility. Tesla's one of the only vehicles that could self-drive to a point and then park, because nothing else fits with that guy. This guy seems to have been set up to be a patsy. And there's an account on Twitter that I've been following where what's his name? There's a Green Beret Nap Time. He recently made the E8 list for the MSG in 2023 in an 18Z slot. I don't know any of this stuff, so please forgive me if I sound like an idiot. I'm just kind of reading this from former military people. I'll bring it up for you guys so you don't just look at my ugly face for 5 minutes. Let's see here. Go back. Hey, I'm a one-man show, baby. Let's see. Let's get that up. Green share to Green Beret nap time. All right, now we're here. You're with me here. Right? We're good. Let's get that. So you can find him on Twitter if you are looking for him, if you want to read more, because this guy's gone down an absolute rabbit hole. Green Beret nap time, GBNT 1952. A lot we don't know about Matthew Lebensberg, the alleged Vegas bomber, but here's what we do know, and there's a lot that does not add up. He recently made an E8 list for MSG in 2023, 18Z slot, which means he was Special Forces soldier, and if pinned, would have still been on active duty. This also means he was well within his team sergeant time. Don't know what that means. If you know what that means, throw it in the chat room and help everybody out, because I can't help you on that one. He was an E18 Special Forces Communications Sergeant, and then went to Fox Course to become 18F Intelligence Sergeant before making the E8 list. A lot of letters, a lot of numbers, don't know what it means. He was also apparently was small unmanned aircraft systems qualified, which implies he had training as a drone pilot. This Twitter user is submitting that and a FOIA request for his military records, but that'll probably take some time, if ever. Rented the Cybertruck from Turo, the same company that the NOLA terrorists used. I went through that yesterday, why it would be a good idea if you were a terrorist to use something like the Turo app, because it is anonymous. The back of which means you could have rented it, thrown a dead body in it, programmed it and sent it off, and nobody would have been the wiser. Just saying. The back of the truck was full of mortar, fireworks, gasoline canisters, and camping fuel canisters, which are all combustible, but would not be ideal for an explosion to create maximum damage. Here's the crazy part. With the level of experience that he had, how does it make sense that he would rent a Cybertruck, which are known to be bulletproof, filled with ineffective explosives that would not actually cause much damage? The front windows of the building did not even break. The other crazy part is his wife, Sarah Livensberg, has multiple anti-Trump posts on her social media from years and years ago. So if he was radicalized, if this was all an attempt to hurt people and destroy a Trump building, why would he have gone about it in such an incompetent and ineffective manner? These are all questions that are coming and that doesn't fit. Yesterday was very easy to say, oh, there was an explosion in NOLA and there was an explosion in Vegas. These have to be connected. It just makes too much sense. But as the Las Vegas, and we know, as talking about yesterday, the Las Vegas PD is not exactly known for being very truthful, honest, or upfront with all of their information, are going to only give you as much as possible. So you have that information, and it is very, very strange. It's just one of these things that nobody, it does seem like B-grade terrorism. And it does seem like this guy, patriotic, pro-Trump, special forces dude, would be a great patsy to set up the DOJ saying right-wing terrorism, right-wing terrorism, right-wing terrorism. Look, right-wing terrorism and Islamic terrorism are joining forces, right? You could, all of these things could easily be put together so they could easily say, oh, we need to update the Patriot Act. We need Patriot Act 2.0. We need more controls. We need to be able to control the Cybertrucks so that way they can't go to these places. All I know, and it's not much, but thank you for watching, is that the government will never let a crisis, and the thing that happened in NOLA and the thing that happened in Vegas and the things that seem to be happening all over this union, all of these things seem to be adding up to Trump, come in and save us. Do whatever you got to do. You know, we don't care. We just want to be safe. Interesting. There is something to say about the Trump shooter. The Trump shooter, I think, went to brag as well. There's a lot of people who are making that claim. So it means, am I a conspiracy theorist? I don't know. What is a conspiracy theorist? Is it somebody that is a little ahead of time? Is a couple months ahead? Steph, I'll just tell you, I'm just trying to throw things out there. None of this will probably stick. I'm trying to put together maybe an explanation in my own head, and I happen to be in front of a camera and a microphone. But I don't know, Steph, would you, and I'm just asking you honestly, would you be able to trust what the Vegas team is going to tell you or what the FBI will tell you with this regard? I don't know. I don't know if they've earned that level of trust, especially after the last couple of years. I asked, okay, you ask why. I asked why what? Just, I don't mind. Please, I'd love to go back and forth with you. Just when you're typing these up, just be a little bit more specific and just understand I'm kind of stupid. Write them like you're writing for a 5-year-old. If you can get, if you understand that, then I'll be able to answer any and all your questions. But I'm just trying to work out the fact that this is just some weird stuff. Just seems to be very strange. It's not cut and dry. The NOLA terrorism attack was cut and dry. This one, like everything else that seems to happen in Vegas, it just you are questioning that it is not a okay. No. You're asking the question that it's not a conspiracy theorist. Oh, no. I could be. I don't know what a conspiracy theorist is now because conspiracy theorists were ones who said, hey, watch out for, the cough jab. They're going to do this and that. A lot of those things came true. So, I mean, if you wanted to honestly label me as one, I wouldn't doubt you or be upset by it. That's your opinion and you're more than entitled to it. And I appreciate you going back and forth with me. So I hope that answers the question. I have a feeling it doesn't. Maybe I'm just being a politician. I'm just dancing for my dinner up here. Either way. So that's the Vegas stuff. That is the Vegas stuff. And here's the thing. We probably have one or two more press conferences with the Las Vegas PD before this thing gets buried. Just like they buried the Stephen Paddock shooting at the Mandalay Bay. They pushed that thing out and pushed that thing out and pushed that thing out. And eventually, the American people who have the attention span of a goldfish just moved on to another thing. So it's really going to be interesting how much longer, especially once Trump gets back into office, will anybody care about this? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The NOLA one's been wrapped up with a nice little bow and we're moving on. This one is just, it's in Vegas and there's a lot of questions to ask. So there is that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching Rick Cast. I can't even talk. Thank you for watching Rick Cast. I am the aforementioned Rick. Like, subscribe, share, hit the notification button. Leave me a comment. Let me know. Just like Steph. Steph's been asking me questions. I love it. And I appreciate every single one of you and all the questions and the back and forth. I think it's great. Please continue to do so. And hopefully I answer your questions or I dodge them just enough to sound like a politician. Either way. All right, let's get to another story that seems to be making people upset and nervous and obviously so. This comes to us from South Carolina. Governor Henry McMaster confirms interstate shutdown is due to bomb threat. Zach Rainey of WYFF4.com. Travelers and commuters may be experiencing delays on Thursday evening due to a shutdown on Interstate 85. South Carolina Department of Transportation reported an incident at exit 44 to Whitehorse Road on I-85 around 4 p.m. It appears the interstate is shut down in both directions between exit 42, I-185, and exit 46, Augusta Road in Greenville County. Law enforcement stopped all traffic from Whitehorse Road to I-85 as well. Just before 6 p.m., South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster confirmed that the closure was due to a bomb threat. McMaster said this is out of abundance of caution due to bomb threat issued during a traffic stop by a South Carolina transportation police officer. This is the current vehicle that is stopped in the middle of the highway. Happy New Year, Brian. Thanks for hanging out. And that's what's happening right now. So Governor McMaster said I-85 near mile marker 44 is temporarily closed out of an abundance of caution due to a bomb threat issued during routine traffic stop this afternoon by South Carolina Transport Police. South Carolina DOT and state law enforcement are on the scene. The normal I-85 traffic will resume once the tractor trailer is swept and cleared by the bomb squad. So you have another incident that is taking place across the country. So you have Vegas, NOLA, you have the plane crash in California, which I think is just a tragic accident. You have the shooting in New York at a club last night. I didn't even cover that, but that seems to be gang violence as well. I don't know, man. It just seems that there's this transition period between two administrations, and there's a lull between those two, and people are taking advantage of it, I would have to say. So I don't have any updates on that right now as far as the South Carolina truck bomb, but if there is anything, I will bring you a update tomorrow. Truck to see if there's anything there. Nope. It's just being surrounded. There's nothing new at this point. So they're still working on the truck. Okay. Hopefully it works out well. Hopefully it does. All right. Last story of the day, ladies and gentlemen. This comes to us from Breitbart.com. I want to make sure I get the story in because I only did 2 stories yesterday. Last story of the day. From Breitbart.com, Trump endorsement helps Mike Johnson close the deal on the speakership election, although there are rumblings, and this came to us from, let's see here. Wrong one. There are rumblings on Twitter right now that Mike Johnson does not have the votes in order to actually get the position. And this is something Trump does not want, simply because Trump is trying to get into office and get things done. He is not trying to have fights about speakership positions. He's not trying to have fights about appointments or anything else. He's just looking to get in. This was from Nick Soder. Mike Johnson does not currently have the votes to remain speaker per Politico. Speaker vote is scheduled in less than 24 hours, and roughly a dozen Republicans are still on the fence. So Trump is coming out trying to force this issue through, because he doesn't want to get bogged down with Chip Roy going and waxing political for 2 or 3 days to try and make a point, because of course he has to. I'm not a big fan of Chip Roy, so you're not going to get a lot from me on that one. Speaker Mike Johnson and his detractors are falling in line after President-elect Donald Trump put his thumb on the scale. So Trump, with a single truth post, appears to have saved Johnson. Once and future president left Johnson twisting in the wind for over a week. So he's come out and said, so you have Representative Paul Goslar, who joined Representatives Marjorie Taylor Greene and Thomas Massie to try and force a vote. The 119th Congress will meet Friday at noon to take the roll call for Speaker. Johnson's election is not a sure thing, but if he pulls off retaining the gavel after a rocky 14th on tenure, he'll have Trump to thank. So this is another thing I'm throwing on your radar. I will, when I'm with you guys tomorrow night, I will let you know how the Speaker's race went, if they're continuing to go forth, or if Speaker Johnson was able to retain the gavel. I know Trump wants him to have the gavel simply because he wants to make sure he can get, when he gets sworn in on the 20th of January, he can just hit the ground and just start getting to work. All right, folks, that's it. 144 people on a brand new account that nobody's seen before. You guys are awesome. Every single one of you guys is awesome. So thank you for watching. If you could do me a huge favor, if you're watching on the X machine, can you follow the Rickcast account? Follow the Rickcast account so that way you'll be notified when this show goes live every night, 6 p.m. Central Time. And I will talk to you all tomorrow. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. If you have any questions or comments or anything you want to let me know, you can follow me at Rickcast. Send me a message, send me a direct message if you'd like. And I'll be more than happy to respond because, I love it. I love talking to y'all. It's great. Anyway, I will talk to y'all next time being tomorrow. And until he gets the taste of free air, keep him in your thoughts and prayers. And we need to have Dexter Taylor freed. Free Dexter Taylor.